Great. Good morning, everyone. We've got a full day today. My name is Trustee Tracy McKibben. I'm the chair of the Finance and Risk Committee for the Authority and the New York State Canal Corporation. I'd like to welcome my fellow committee members, Chairman John Comel, Dennis Trainer, Michael Balboni, Eugene Nicandri, Anthony Pacenti will be joining us shortly, and Theta B.F. Gonzalez. Welcome, NYPA and Canal Corporation staff. This meeting has been duly noticed as required by the Open Meetings Law. I call this meeting to order. You've all had a chance to review the agenda. I asked if there are any amendments to the agenda for today.
No amendments.
No amendments. I'd ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The agenda is adopted. The next portion of this meeting will be held in executive session. I ask for a motion to conduct an executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation pursuant to Section 105 of the Public Officers Law.
So moved.
I think I heard seconded in there. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back. I'll ask for a motion to resume the meeting in open session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There were no votes taken during our executive session. Members were polled prior to the meeting regarding any conflicts and have submitted all potential conflicts to the corporate secretary for inclusion in the minutes. I'll now invite Adrian Lotto, VP and Chief Risk and Resilience Officer, to present an update on a climate resilience and adaptation study. Adrian?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the trustees, EMC, and my NYPA and Canal colleagues. My name is Adrian Lotto, and I'm here to present this morning an update on our climate study. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. So I'm here today to support NYPA's efforts around climate, and specifically our work around the climate adaptation study, which is a partnership, as you can see on the screen, with Oregon National Lab, EPRI, and Columbia University. It should be noted at the outset that we understand that climate continues to impact the state, most recently Hurricane Henry, but we can gladly report that there have been no significant impacts as a result of that storm on the NYPA or Canal's infrastructure. To the left, you'll see some of our project drivers, including our aggressive goals around sustainability, CLCPA, and others. This is a 14 to 16 month project, which kicked off approximately 2 months ago. And we've engaged Oregon National Lab predominantly around their expertise around climate science. EPRI will serve to provide insights, assumptions, and challenge some of those lessons in the report that we are seeking to learn. And similarly, Columbia University will be using their climate experts to provide independent insight on our reviews and findings. Next slide, please. So this is a 3-part study. Part 1 will be looking at local scale climate impacts, so understanding what the climate will be here in the state of New York. That will be taking a snapshot both of what's occurred in the past, but also understanding the atmospheric science of today. And then we'll be projecting that forward into 2030, 2040, and 2050 models, including inland precipitation flooding, coastal flooding, winter storms, ice, changes in extreme temperature, and the like. The second subtask is around understanding and implying or overlaying rather NYPA infrastructure and understanding what the impact of that science, of that extreme weather will have. And then finally, the key to the report is the third pillar, which is what are the options? What does NYPA need to do from both a capital project perspective or planning to secure and ensure that our infrastructure is resilient into the future? I will pause there. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. This is just a sort of update to us on the study. I assume this is intended to feed into how we do our risk assessments as a result of climate change, and how it will feed into how we operationalize that potential risk to our business is really what this study is. I understood it.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from the committee?
No questions.
Great. No votes are necessary. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
We'll now turn it over to Adam Barsky, EVP and Chief Financial Officer, to present the report of the following items.
Thank you, Trustee McKibben, other trustees, members of the public. We can go to the next slide. Just to summarize where our actual financial results through July. We achieved a $43 million net income against a budget of $41 million. So we are ahead of plan. EBITDA as well is tracking $4 million ahead of plan. Most of this is due to the fact that our transmission revenues are doing better than originally forecast and offsetting any decreases on the generation side or the non-utility side, and expenses are tracking slightly below the original budget plan. So we can go to the next slide. And our full year forecast has us continuing on this trajectory, where today we are looking at a end of the year 51 or almost 52 million net income against the plan of almost 41 million, and very low downside risk to this forecast, with a greater upside potential based on a number of factors that we are currently evaluating and looking at, and will be firming up in the next few months. But we do see things trending ahead of plan as we see it today. Again, we'll be giving further updates in the coming months, but it all looks like, you know, we seem to be doing very well this year. If there's any questions in particular, I entertain those now.
Adam, great delivery for this last quarter and outlook for the full year. Just a testament to the strength of our income from our transmission work, which is, you know, our strong muscle. Just if you could just give us a little bit about, we're continuing in the investment phase around in our energy storage and e-mobility efforts, and the softening of the numbers there, but it's largely driven because we're still investing in that, but we expect the income from that to improve over the near term, short term. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be over the next several years, but it's still in its I would say it's in its incubation stage, but it is moving forward. So we won't be seeing significant revenues you know, for I think at least a few years. So we will be adjusting our targets appropriately for that. And on the energy efficiency front, it also seems to be doing well, but there's been some delays and lags. And again, that's just the revenues they generate there is completely a function of how quickly the work is getting done. So the fees are charged as the money is spent on the projects. So as we hope that the gap will continue to get narrow, but to the extent it's running behind, the revenues there will be slightly under. But right now, it all looks it looks okay, you know, in total. As well on the generating side, we don't see a lot of downside there based on the hedging activity that we've done to date. So we think that while prices for natural gas have increased, and and some of the rest of the state capacity prices have also done well, we see some benefit from that, but based on our hedging, the upside there is somewhat limited. And as we go into the fourth quarter is usually a weaker performing quarter for NYPA historically, and it's budgeted and forecast that way. So it's not, we sort of end up either being flat or negative in the fourth quarter just based on the seasonality of our business. So that's expected.
Great.
I know
thank
the
you.
third quarter's not over with Adam, but no surprises so far as you can tell.
No, we finished August very strong. We had $7 million net income against a $4 million plan, so that continues to run ahead of budget as well. So far, all the signs are good.
Any other questions from committee members? Thank you. No votes necessary. Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
And then the next item is a release of funds.
Yeah, so this is the quarterly release that we need to do for the canals. Next slide, please. It's just the authorization of the last quarter release of 22.9 million. And as far as the canals goes, we see them tracking to and finishing slightly better than budget. Most of that is a result of the impact on their costs of benefits related to the actions we took earlier in the year with respect to their OPEB liability. Their pension expense also should come in better than originally forecast. So on the benefit side, they should be doing better than budget. So we see them finishing the year within budget. So this is just to authorize that fourth quarter release of funds.
So move. Second.
Right, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank
So
you.
no operational issues, Adam, with the canals.
None that's that we've been made aware of, and based on and we have regular conversations with the field, so we seem to be doing very well there operationally as well.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll turn to our utility operations, and I'll ask Andrew Belays to come in, VP of Project and Construction Management, to present the next item on the agenda.
Good morning, I'm Andy Boulay. I'm here to present an item for the operations side. This item is a capital expenditure authorization and contract award for Y49 transmission line in Nassau County segment reconductoring. Today, we are requesting that the Finance Committee recommend a capital expenditure authorization in the amount of approximately $141.7 million and approve a 10-year value contract to the Okanite Company in the amount of $38 million to the Board of Trustees. Y49 is a 345 kV transmission line that was commissioned in 1991 and it spans approximately 26 miles from Westchester County to Nassau County and is necessary for resiliency in the Long Island grid. The contract scope includes the design, manufacturing, and delivery of approximately 10 circuit miles of high-pressure fluid-filled cable to support the reconductoring in Nassau County. This cable has a 10-month lead time. Reconductoring is scheduled to commence in the fall of 2022 and be complete in the spring of 2024, with outages scheduled around peak summer months. We are working closely with our partners and vendors to accelerate this timeline. In order to meet the project schedule, a limited notice to proceed for the value contracting and subsequent purchase order release in the amount of $27 million was issued in September. A request for proposal was issued in July 2021, and one proposal was received in August, which was reviewed by a cross-functional team. Among other evaluation criteria, bids were reviewed based on cost, technical and commercial requirements, quality, relevant experience. Okanite is one of the few remaining manufacturers of HPFF pipe type cable. Following an extensive evaluation process, the committee recommended award to Okanite in the amount of approximately $38 million for a 10-year term. Okanite they have committed to meeting the overall combined MWBE goals of this project. The total project is estimated at $141.7 million. To date, $2 million in capital funds have been approved. So the current request of $139.7 million will authorize the balance of funds required to complete the project. This is the first time the project has been brought before the Finance Committee and the board. The proposed spending is not included in the 4-year capital plan because at the time, total scope and estimates of the reconductoring were not prepared. but this reconductoring will be included in the 2022 budget and the 4-year plan moving forward. The project expenditures will be limited to $20 million until the cost recovery mechanisms are secured. Thank you. I'll take any questions you have at this time and ask for your vote.
Yeah, Andy, if you could just walk us through, obviously this is a significant investment for a project that's 30 years into its life, typically expected to be longer. So this is an inject into something whose life was expected to be longer, but this will extend the life for some additional period. Can you help us appreciate this spend that we're authorizing today, and how that will help improve the life of this large investment?
Understood, and thank you. The Y-49 Nassau County segment has been assessed by subject matter experts and deemed that there are some significantly long runs within that 10 miles of underground cable that are prone to thermal mechanical bending. And that has caused numerous faults in the last 10 to 12 years. By doing this reconductoring, we plan on extending the life and resiliency of the line.
And we're making design upgrades, right? And that's what's going to help extend the life. And your estimate, it'll extend the life for what, 30, 40, 50 additional years from the original construction or commissioning in 1991.
Correct. This will extend it 30 plus years. And as part of the design, we're including additional manholes to mitigate some of the thermal mechanical bending that we're seeing, as well as upgrade the conductor size only for the purposes of limiting the thermal mechanical bending, not to increase the capacity of the line.
And this 140 we're approving today, is that the entire amount that we think you're phasing this project, correct? And so, but the total spend is expected to be, although we're just approving the 140 today. What's the total spend?
The ask is for the $141.7 million today for reconductoring in the Nassau County segment. There's further assessments and work to be done on the rest of the line that will have to come back to the board and the Finance Risk Committee at a later date.
Great. Any other questions?
And the issues with this line are unique to this line, or are they atypical?
The conductor length seems to be somewhat unique to this line, and that's what's leading to these thermal mechanical bending faults that we have seen over the course of the 10 to 12 years. Other than that, nothing else that I'm aware of that's unique.
Actually, so
the number of faults has been significantly accelerated in the last several months, right? Isn't that the real issue? I mean, we've heard about Y-49 outages for much of the year or periodically throughout the year. Is my memory correct, Andy?
You are correct. Over the course of
so what's causing that? Why the more recent frequency issue?
I think it's probably due to the cycling of the line itself, meaning the thermal expansion and contraction, which weakens the line, coupled with the fact that every time you bring the line on to service and off service, you're heating and cooling it, which is further exacerbating the problem. The line is older and has gone through a significant number of faults. And then, of course, the more faults that you do undergo, you are potentially weakening the line itself. And then over the last 10 months, we've experienced 4 faults on this line. Most recently, one occurred in August, and we're in the process of repairing that.
And so we should expect more frequent faults before you're able to replace and remedy the problem. I mean, how much of an ongoing issue is this going to be in terms of our ability to serve our markets in Long Island?
Good question. We have gone through an extensive amount of work up front to try to mitigate any future faults, but also have plans in place to react more quickly to any faults that occurred through staging of materials, staging of specific kits that are needed, and then looking at, of course, we have value contracts for these repairs that we tap into as needed. To mitigate particular faults, this time we chose to reconductor one segment between two manholes versus what they call a Dutchman splice, which is a long splice, which would have added an additional manhole into the line that may or may not have been needed in the location that is would have taken place. So this effort that's undergoing right now will replace 2,100 feet between two different manholes, and will give us some really good knowledge on what it actually takes to do a full reconductoring of this segment in Nassau County.
All right, thank you.
Andy, can you tell me what the original life expectancy was and what the, after this project's completed, what the projected life expectancy is?
As I understand it, the life expectancy of most transmission lines are somewhere in the 50-year to 70-year per time frame. Knowing that, of course, it begs the question, what's going on here? Again, looking at the this particular segment, there were some things that could have been done differently to mitigate the faults that we're seeing today, and that's what we're attempting to remedy going forward. Through this reconductoring activity, we fully expect this new segment, once it's replaced, to last as indicated under normal conditions, you know, the 50, 70-year life cycle.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Michael, I think you were trying to get in. Are you?
I'm just saying that this project goes right through my neighborhood. I'm literally a block away from this, and chatting with some engineers, there's already work going on in another project in there. And they talked about also the fact that this line was so straight that the bending was not permitted. It was not handled as well along the line, that if it actually had bent, you know, it had curves and it might have been easier, but nonetheless, the investment is necessary. And as the chairman noted, this is essential to Long Island.
And it seems that they're fixing that design challenge that they have. So I thought you were going to volunteer to go out and help them work, but okay.
Anything they need, I'll bring them coffee.
Bring your lawn chair out there and supervise, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam. This actually requires a motion. If I could get a motion from the committee.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, and this will be submitted to the full board. Thank you, and Andy. I'll now invite Saul Rojas, Regional Manager, CINI, to present the next operation and maintenance contract item.
Thank you very much. Good morning, trustees, NYPA leadership, and members of the public. As noted, my name is Saul Rojas, and I'm the Regional Manager of the Southeast Region. In accordance with NYPA's guidelines for procurement and expenditure authorization procedures, your concurrence and approval are requested to award a competitive bid to NACE Corporation for a non-personal services contract for the operation and maintenance services for NYPA's small clean power plants in New York City. The maximum commitment is $35 million for a term of 5 years. NYPA reserves the right to renew the contract on an annual basis each year beyond the initial 5 years for up to an additional 5 years. Pursuant public authorities law, NYPA issued an RFP in March of 2021 in which 7 suppliers were listed as having been invited. 1 proposal was received after this initial RFP. As a result of the single proposal, strategic supply chain management followed up with the invited vendors to provide additional clarification on the RFP, and as such issue a second RFP in April of 2021. After the second RFP, again, 1 proposal was received, the NACE Corporation proposal. NACE Corporation has a proven record within the industry, and they have been providing NYPA with robust service for almost 20 years, performing this very service, the O&M services for the small clean power plants. The new contract rates are in line with the current contract rates. Additionally, NACE Corporation took few exceptions to the commercial terms and conditions. As such, the evaluation team respectfully requests that your concurrence and approval of this contract. Thank you.
What's the name of the company, Sal?
NACE Corporation, NAES Corporation.
Great. Any other questions on this contract? There being no question, if I could get a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried. It will be submitted to the full board. Thank you, Saul. I'll now invite, we'll have a discussion around the commercial operation. I'll invite Sarah Salati, EVP and Chief Commercial Officer, to go over present the next item.
Great. Good morning. I apologize that I'm on this one and my internet seems to not be working today. That being said, hopefully you can hear me. I'm requesting authorization, or not authorization, but that the Finance and Risk Committee recommend to the board that we enter into back-to-back power purchase agreements with Engie North America and Ameresco to support the excellent work that the Clean Energy Advisory Services is doing in the city of New York. The back-to-back PPAs are supporting the installation of solar plus storage at over 50 sites across the city. The cost of the PPA, which is 20 years and is typical for purchase power agreements, will be come into NYPA and then be passed through directly through a purchase power agreement with the city, and we are recovering all of our costs in that, as well as receiving payment for the advisory services that we provided in supporting the turnkey services, the implementation. If you want to switch to the next slide. This just gives you a geographic example of where all of the projects are. I'm really proud to say that the work that we're doing with the City of New York represents 30% of the goal of the city to reach 100 megawatts of solar PV by 2025. And another highlight that 60% of these portfolio sites are located in disadvantaged communities, which is an area of focus for us with respect to environmental justice and supporting a clean energy transition for all residents across New York State. I'm happy to take any questions.
So great work, Sarah. This is, I assume, in line with our commitment to help execute on the CLCPA and the role that NYPA can uniquely play in the growth and expansion of renewables across the state of New York. So these are investments in the infancy stage. We talked about in Adam's presentation about the returns on this. We're making investments for future returns, as well as future adoption of cleaner energy throughout the state. So great work on the team. Any other questions from the committee on this? No questions. I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great, motion carries. With this will be submitted to the full board. Thank you, Sarah. Next on the agenda, we'll invite Steve Kalajian, VP HR and Organizational Development, to present on the next contract award.
Hello, everybody. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm here to request approval for our contingent workforce staffing agreement, which will replace our current expiring agreement. This is used for temporary general business support. It does not include IT or technical operations. We conducted an open and competitive selection process. We received over 45 proposals. We selected 11 vendors and also have a number of certified MWBEs providing these services. These agreements will support NYPA's evolving workforce demands by providing just-in-time resources for emergent and transitional needs. In addition, this will give us extra bandwidth to respond to changes in the workforce landscape due to COVID-19 or any other situations that arise. We have instituted over the past 5 years rigorous controls over the program to make sure we're effectively managing it and ensuring that departments are appropriately utilizing the resources and preventing overdependency. So we are asking the board to approve the contingent workforce service agreements for up to a total amount of $24 million over a maximum 5-year term. Happy to answer any questions.
So Steve, I guess one question that I had is, I assume these are services we're taking on because we want temporary enhancement around any particular work that we're doing within the authority or at the canal that we don't think should be part of our long-term workforce development, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the criteria. It can also be used if, for transitioning people we know who, maybe leaving an organization or coming onto the organization. So it has multiple benefits to the organization, but what you talked about is absolutely like one of the core reasons why we leverage them.
Great. Any other questions for Steve? There being none, I'll ask for a motion for this award, contract award.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. This will also be submitted to the full board. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Carrie Jane King, who will walk us through, who's the Director of Sustainability, and walk us through the next presentation.
Morning, members of the Board of Trustees, Executive Management Committee, and my and Canal's colleagues. I'm just going to provide a brief update on ESG, a foundational pillar of Vision 2030. Next slide, please. Outlined on this slide are the 3 ESG tactics identified in Vision 2030. I'll leave tactic A till last and start with tactic B, integrating ESG. We've now established an ESG governance structure with Executive Management Committee and Board oversight for ESG, and we're revising our company policy to reflect the broader ESG scope. Other efforts, as we move forward with integrated reporting, we'll continue to integrate ESG through policies, procedures, and controls, and I'll talk about this shortly. Other efforts to embed ESG include ramping up internal communications and external stakeholder engagements, including industry conferences, workshops, and panel events, and increasing employee engagement with Sustainable You, our climate science and training program, which addresses climate change and climate change solutions. We're just about to start the 4th of 5 units, and we've had strong attendance and positive feedback on that program. Regarding tactic C, we're building out the sustainability function and increasing resourcing and headcount to provide strategic guidance for ESG issues across NIPA. And this area of our work will continue to grow as we move forward with our integrated reporting efforts. We're also expanding lead by example programs to accelerate adoption of sustainability practices, and have various assessments planned or underway across key areas, including Build Smart 2025, vehicle fleet electrification, materials management and waste reduction, habitat restoration and biodiversity, and supply chain sustainability. We're working with other departments on other initiatives as well, such as the climate resilience assessment that Adrian spoke about, and we're also expanding our greenhouse gas accounting efforts. Lastly, with regard to tactic A, as you know, in April, we issued the sustainability report and the sustainability plan, and the 2020 sustainability report. And we're now embarking on our integrated reporting journey. Next slide, please. We're building on the work we've done with the plan and report across our ESG material issues and expanding our efforts by adopting the integrated reporting framework. In 2023, we'll issue our first annual report that accords with the IR framework, combining NIPA's annual report and sustainability report into one. IR is an internationally recognized framework that integrates sustainability and financial reporting. It's designed to be used with sustainability and financial reporting standards and to build connectivity between ESG and financial disclosures. The framework serves as both a performance management and a reporting tool. It promotes integrated thinking and decision-making with a focus on creating value for the company, its stakeholders, and society over the short and long term. And it also provides a comprehensive approach to reporting, bringing together financial and ESG disclosures to address the needs of all stakeholders, including employees, customers, suppliers, local communities, and of course, the financial community. Next slide, please. There's increased momentum towards impact-driven sustainability management and value creation. The IR framework identifies a broad base of capitals or resources and relationships from which companies create value. These range from financial and intellectual to social and relationship and natural. The framework is designed to build connectivity between these capitals to help manage risks and trade-offs and identify opportunities to create value. It's also set up to better communicate the value of the business and its stewardship of these capitals across ESG issues. So where are we with integrated reporting? Our work is underway. We are currently conducting a gap analysis, and we're focusing on those capitals, financial, intellectual, and manufactured, that are not directly addressed in our sustainability plan and report. We're also benchmarking IR in the utility industry. By year end, we'll have established our IR approach and identified the IR requirements, including the report scope, metrics, processes, and controls. In January, we'll begin collecting data for the 2022 report, so we'll have a full year of data. And to ensure accuracy and completeness, our goal is to have our IR report audited and assured once it's completed. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Carrie Jane. And great work on what you're doing. Obviously, ESG is a very broad umbrella. Can you help me understand how, and I like the discussion, how you're considering all stakeholders. This is largely about how we communicate or report to all of the stakeholders that you outlined, whether it's investors who invest in our bonds, our customers, our employees, as well as the communities about the things that we are doing that fall under the ESG umbrella. Are you finding that this isn't disconnected from the work that we're doing across the authority and the Canal Corporation, that it's largely they're feeding into what we consider how we're going to report out what we're doing under this broader umbrella, right? It's not a disconnect, but it's largely being fed by the corporation, by the businesses on the different categories under ESG. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. And we have, we're creating a steering committee, which will include key stakeholders across the company that will guide this effort. We also have already established a core team. And of course, we have the advisory council, Sustainability Advisory Council, which will support this effort across over 32 departments. So yes, this is definitely an organization-wide effort that we're making everyone aware of. We're starting initially with our key stakeholders, obviously. We're trying to explain these concepts, which are new, very new, the whole idea of an expanded idea of value and these capitals. And I think that it really should have, we can create a solid structure around this and embed it. I think it can have, really be very powerful and really have a lot of value in itself in supporting ESG.
Great. Any other questions for Carrie Jane? None? Thank you. There's no vote necessary for this. This is just informative for the committee. The consent agenda is before the committee for adoption. If I could get a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
I think I heard a second. in there, moved and seconded. We'll recommend the consent agenda with the 3 utility items to the full board. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next joint finance and risk committee meeting will be held November 16th, 2021. If I could get a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
I think I heard a
Second.
seconded in there. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. And hopefully
Thank you
the
very
next
much.
time we'll be in person.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank-
Tracy.